Albert Camus was born into silence, not the deep, philosophical kind, but a real, everyday silence. His father died in World War I before Camus could ever know the sound of his voice. His mother, Catherine, was nearly deaf and spoke so little it became a part of his soul. He grew up in a poor, working-class neighborhood of French Algeria, under a blazing sun that left no room for shadows or lies. Love existed, he knew, but words for it were rare and precious. From the very beginning, Camus understood a fundamental truth. Life offers no explanations. It just is. There is only the heat, the dust, the hunger, and the small mercies you find along the way. One of those mercies was a teacher who saw a fire in the quiet boy. He handed Camus books and told him to read, to escape, and he did. Books became his second country, but his first love, the love of his body, was football. He wanted to be a goalkeeper, alone, but responsible. He'd later joke, a perfect metaphor for his entire life. But then, another silent visitor arrived. Tuberculosis. It tapped him on the shoulder like fate itself. The doctors told him, no more football, no more excess. What Camus heard was, your time is limited. Illness forced him to turn inward, away from the football pitch and toward philosophy, theater, and writing. He saw that life was fragile, unfair, and profoundly absurd. He didn't argue with this realization. He simply observed it. At university, he devoured philosophy Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, the ancient Greeks. But he distrusted rigid systems. When asked what he believed, he'd often reply, I don't believe. I experience. His life was a testament to that creed. He married young and recklessly. Simone Hai was beautiful, brilliant, and deeply troubled, fighting an addiction that would poison their love. Their passion burned bright and fast, then collapsed into cruelty and betrayal. He learned a hard lesson. Love doesn't excuse cruelty. It can't. He found a new voice in journalism, writing with searing honesty about poverty, injustice, and the hypocrisy of colonial rule. The French authorities didn't like his candor. Camus didn't care. He refused to soften his sentences. Algeria had forged his contradictions. He loved the land with a fierce passion, but despised the system of oppression it was built on. He opposed the injustice, but feared the violence of revolution. In the end, both sides, the French colonists and the Algerian nationalists, would come to distrust him deeply. When war came to Europe, Camus was in Paris. He joined the clandestine press of the French resistance, turning his words into weapons. Truth, he wrote in the underground newspaper Combat, is never neutral. It was during this dark time that he published a book that would change everything. The Stranger? Its main character, Meursault, commits a senseless murder on a sun-drenched beach and, most disturbingly for readers, fails to cry at his own mother's funeral. The literary world was shocked, fascinated, and furious. Who was this cold new voice? Camus just shrugged. Why should he lie? Key asked. With that, the concept of the absurd, the clash between our human need for meaning and the universe's silent indifference entered, the cultural bloodstream. Camus wasn't celebrating emptiness. He was simply refusing to accept false comfort. Success, however, changed nothing in his private life. He remained restless, insecure, and driven by desire. He married again, this time to Francine Fauré, a calm and devoted pianist who believed in stability. Camus, however, still believed in chaos. They had twin children, a son and a daughter, whom he loved deeply. But fidelity bored him. He pursued affair after affair with actresses, writers, and intellectuals. He was a man of intense, brief, and repeated passions. Guilt followed pleasure everywhere he went. His letters from this time reveal a man of incredible urgency, one who felt he was always running out of time. To love is to agree to disappear, he wrote, and then he would disappear into another affair, leaving Francine to suffer in silence. Then came The Plague, a masterpiece that cemented his global reputation. The novel, an allegory for the Nazi occupation, tells the story of a city under quarantine, a story of quiet heroism, solidarity, and resistance against an overwhelming, meaningless force. The world embraced him as a moral authority, a role he absolutely hated. Don't follow me, he warned his admirers. I'm unsure too. This unease with his own status came to a head in his most famous public battle, the great rupture with his friend, the philosopher The issue was politics. Sartre demanded absolute loyalty to communist ideology, even if it meant justifying violence and oppression in the name of a future utopia. Camus refused. He chose loyalty to individual human lives over abstract theory. He famously declared, "I refuse to justify murder." The friendship did not survive. They exchanged brutal public essays that left Camus isolated, branded as naive and bourgeois by the Parisian intellectual elite. Privately, the break crushed him. The war for Algerian independence intensified his isolation. He was trapped between his identities. A Frenchman of Algeria, an Algerian in France. Colonists saw him as a traitor. Revolutionaries saw him as a hesitant sympathizer. It was during this period that he made his most controversial statement. When challenged by an Algerian student in Stockholm, he said, "I believe in justice, but I will defend my mother before justice." The line has haunted his legacy ever since. Was it a profound statement of human compassion or an excuse for political cowardice? History is still arguing. In 1957, at just 44 years old, Albert Camus was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. He was the second youngest recipient ever. He felt it was a mistake, that he was undeserving. "I will disappoint them," he told friends. The prize only intensified the scrutiny. Every word, every silence was analyzed and politicized. He withdrew further, exhausted by the weight of fame. His marriage to Francine collapsed under the strain, as she battled a severe depression for which he felt both responsible and powerless. Throughout this turmoil, one great love remained a constant source of passion and pain. His affair with the actress Maria Casarès, their love was electric, a meeting of equals. "We are impossible," she told him. "Yes," he replied, smiling. They never tried to resolve their impossible situation. They just lived inside it. The thousands of letters they exchanged reveal a man who was the opposite of his cold public persona, man who burned with a quiet, desperate fire, seeking simplicity. He began writing what would be his final, most personal work, The First Man. It was a return to his childhood, to the Algerian son, to his silent mother, to the boy he was before philosophy and fame claimed him. He spoke of slowing down, of buying a house near the sea, of finding peace. But peace was not for him. On January 4th, 1960, he was a passenger in a car driven by his friend and publisher Michel. On a long, straight road, the car swerved and crashed into a tree. Camus was killed instantly. He was 46 years old. In the wreckage, they found the unfinished manuscript of The First Man, a life interrupted, questions unanswered, absurdity undefeated. His death didn't simplify the debate around him. Jean-Paul Sartre, his old rival, wrote a cold, critical eulogy. History remained divided, but maybe that's fitting. Camus never fit into neat boxers. Was he an existentialist? A moralist? A coward? He doesn't answer. He remains stubbornly human, tender, yet distant. Just yet unsure, brave, yet afraid. He chose compassion over ideological purity. People over abstract ideas, and he paid the price for it. He never wanted followers. He wanted readers, people who were awake, not obedient. He never solved the absurd. He lived inside it, barehanded, with his eyes wide open. He asked us to do the same. His life was not a prescription for how to live, but an honest, imperfect example. He teaches us that clarity is courage, that compassion is a form of resistance, and that love is always a risk worth taking. He reminds us that we can stand upright without kneeling to false gods or ideologies, that we can refuse to lie, and that we can face a meaningless universe and still choose joy, tenderness, and life. Albert Camus remains a companion for the uncertain, not a guide. A voice walking beside us, questioning quietly, his work unfinished, just like life itself. This was Legendary Files. If you want to explore more lives that shaped our world, make sure to subscribe and join us for our next story. Thanks for watching.